where's my husband? Why taking him so long?
That's an interesting song, isn't it? That one. Do you like
Oh,
it?
I love it. I love Ray. Absolutely can't stop listening to the track she's done with Hans Zimmer. It's just astonishing. The one that she's done with Hans Zimmer is a whole other level above that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's really sort of
Ah,
force of nature. I'm so overwhelmed by
I'll
how
have to check
amazing
her
she
out.
is. I've got it
Also,
on repeat in my car. I get in the car. In fact, it makes me want to get in my car more because that's when I get to listen to it on repeat. It's so
nice,
beautiful. It's
nice.
impossible to sing along to. It's so from a technical point of view, her
Yes,
singing is
yes,
just on a whole other level.
yeah. This is Long Way to the Top, and I'm your host, Shayne Brian. There are artists who define a moment, and then there are artists who define an era. Kim Wilde is firmly in that second category. From the moment Kids in America exploded onto the charts in 1981, she didn't just arrive, she announced herself, a bold new voice, a fresh energy, a sound that shaped the DNA of 80s pop. But Kim Wilde's story isn't just about the hits, and there's plenty of them. You Keep Me Hanging On, You Came, Cambodia, View from a Bridge, songs that didn't just chart, they actually became part of the soundtrack of a generation. Over 30 million records sold, the most successful British female artist of the 80s, and then she did something a few artists ever pull off. She stepped away from the spotlight, came back on her own terms, not just as a performer, but as a writer, a broadcaster, even winning a gold medal at the Chelsea Flower Show. That tells you everything about the artist and the person. Now in 2026, Kim Wilde returns to Australia for the Closer tour, and the love affair is very much alive. Welcome to Long Way to the Top. Kim, how are you?
I'm really great, really great. So excited about coming back to Oz. I fly over on my birthday, exactly on my
Oh,
birthday day,
yeah.
to Perth, and then I'm going to stay a few days before, to acclimatise, and then I'll just be deep, delving deep into the tour. I can't wait, can't wait.
How many times now have you been to Australia? Plenty of times.
It's just so many, plenty of
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
I think, the first time I came, I saw this because this is this is when I came to Australia in 2013 with Nick Kershaw.
Yes. 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 Two incredible 80s icons.
We had such a great tour on that tour, and I wrote a little thing in here, and I think, yeah, I came to my first Australian trip was in 1973 when I was 13.
Wow. Wow.
And at that time, the Sydney Opera House had only just been finished built,
Yeah.
being built.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I remember us visiting it and everyone saying, "Oh, it's just been finished." And of course, I've toured many times since over
Yes.
the years.
Yes.
And I think I was in Australia the last time in 24.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember you heading through, and there seems to be a lot of, even more so now. There seems to be a lot of '80s artists that are coming through, and ironically, doing their 40th anniversary tour, or can you believe 40 years on, you
Mm.
know, Kids in America still feels like it was done yesterday.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's that song still sounds so fresh, even to my ears, and I get to sing it all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
But the record itself, the production on the record, the sound, the way it sounds, it really just still pops out of the radio when you hear it. It
yeah.
still sounds as fresh as it did the first day, I heard it on radio back in 1981.
How did you feel when you were listening to the radio and suddenly your song came on?
I remember back in the day, I mean, it was such a huge thrill. Spent my whole life listening to national radio,
Yeah,
or radio anywhere, but obviously I was living in the UK. So hearing, I'd be on the school coach and they'd have Radio 1 on in those days. Now it's Radio 2, but Radio 1 was always on. And then to hear, this is something I was listening to every day going to school, every day coming back from school. So to suddenly find when hearing my own record on that radio station
Yeah.
was blew my mind. And then when I did Top of the Pops, I just thought, oh my God, this is crazy. So yeah, it was a magic days.
But you've actually come from a very musical family. I mean, your dad, Marty Wilde, and your brother Ricky. Was there ever a moment that you had to sort of step out of that shadow and say, okay, this is me now?
I think when I started songwriting
Mm.
around, I think it was the third album, I started. I moved from my home because I was living with them all, of course. When Kids in America was written, my father and my brother had written it, and we were all having breakfast together because
Yes.
Ricky and I had bedrooms upstairs, and we were all living together. So then I left home to find out who I was
Yeah.
and started becoming a songwriter. And so that around about that time, it was a really important transition. Now, for me, songwriting is just one of the most rewarding parts of my career.
Yeah. Yeah. Take us back to that early moment. Did you ever feel sort of boxed in by the new wave pop star label in the early years, or did you just embrace it?
Um, No, I mean, I had deep insecurities of being a songwriter. I'd grown up listening to great songwriters like Stevie Wonder and Joni Mitchell and Carole
Yeah.
King and all these great writers. And I was thinking, where does little old me fit in and all that?
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to just figure, well, this is what I have to bring to the table. They can't bring me to the table. Only I can do that. And to value what I could bring. And
Yeah.
it took me years and years actually, even after I started writing, to really value that. But but yeah, I did. But now it's we're just writing a new album. I don't think our songs have ever been better than the ones
Yeah.
we were writing last week.
Yeah, and it's funny though because you mentioned Joni Mitchell and the artists from the '60s, and there was a time when we would dissect those songs and look into the meanings of them. Now we're dissecting the '80s songs and going, wow, what about this one? It's pretty surreal, really, isn't it?
Well, it was such a diverse,
Mm.
decade. There was prog rock and there was
Yeah,
dance and disco and soul, or there was a whole lot, punk, a bit of post-punk, new wave.
yeah,
So there was a lot of different kind of genres all happening together at the same time, which I think made it a very rich decade and why people have such a strong connection to it. It
yeah,
wasn't dominated by any one style. Lots of people think, oh, it was dominated by a synth style, but it actually wasn't. If you kind of analyze, if you go through there was loads of great rock
yeah.
tracks, anthemic rock tracks, and so it was the diversity of that decade that I think made it so potent.
Now, a lot of your songs are a little darker, even the upbeat tracks. Songs like Cambodia, very cinematic, very political. I mean, what headspace were you in when you put that record together?
Well, Cambodia was written by my father and my
Yeah,
brother.
yeah,
And it literally, when you say cinematically, that's exactly how my father wrote it.
yeah,
So he wasn't really making any political statement. I mean, obviously, the sadness of war, just of itself, ordinary people getting caught up in a situation
yeah,
that tears them apart, is sad. Whatever political stance you
yeah,
might come from.
yeah,
It's a human story
yeah,
set in a war environment.
yeah.
So it's an ageless song in that sense.
Taking a song that you didn't write and making it your own, which you really did with Cambodia, but more importantly, other covers that you did, like "You Keep Me Hanging On." What is the art of making a cover yours instead of just recreating it?
Shane, I've always just loved singing. I've
Yeah,
loved telling a story through my voice. And it's not like I ever had this particularly high regard for my voice in any sense. I just felt that it was my destiny to be singing stories. And somehow my voice and those stories have connected with millions of people. I had a strong sense that I wanted to do that, needed to do that. It was my destiny. if you believe in that kind of thing, I sort of do
Yeah.
now, very much so.
Yes.
And as I say, I'm no Barbara Streisand. I don't have the voice that people will talk about for decades to come. But while I'm here, I can communicate the human condition.
Mm, mm. You say you know Barbara Streisand, but to myself and others that grew up in the '80s, you definitely were. You were the voice of you one of the defining faces of the '80s. Was there a lot of pressure around image and expectation that a lot of people didn't see that you were going through?
Well, I mean, not so much as there is now with social media. I guess, but I mean, I was very young. I was 20 when I started, and
Mm.
I enjoyed all the glamour of it. I enjoyed wearing all kinds of fantastic outfits and
Yeah.
making, glamorous videos and fabulous photo shoots. What 20-year-old woman wouldn't want to be, represented in the most glamorous way possible?
Yes.
Um, it was really something that I would just have fun with. I didn't take it too seriously, and I wasn't very obsessed with it. And I think that shows. I kind of dipped in and out of it. Sometimes I got it very right. Sometimes it was just like I kind of bit wide of the mark, and my focus was always on music,
Yeah.
and I wanted, the one thing I wanted more than anything else was to make some perfect pop music.
Yes, yes, and you did, and you talk about your image in the '80s, and the French called you the Bridget Bardot of rock.
They did,
How did you
and
feel about that?
well, I mean, it kind of worked very well, actually. I mean, I sold millions of records in France, and in fact, I'm just about to go on a French tour,
Yeah, right.
which is out already. So, um, yeah, I mean, mostly that actually came because I bought a T-shirt with Brigitte Bardot on it, and there were big, lots of pictures of me wearing that T-shirt.
Yeah.
So it was an easy headline to come up with, but I was very flattered, of course.
Was there a moment in the '80s when there was all this happening, and the French calling you that, and you was so big on the charts? Was there a moment where you thought, I might just walk away from this?
Well, I didn't seriously think about doing that until I did.
Mm,
So I did when I was 36 and got married and had children.
mm,
And then I did seriously walk away and think I did think at that time I wasn't going to walk back. But I was tempted by an 80s tour with Nick Kershaw and Heaven 17 and the Human League and Altered Images. And I had such a great time and I was overwhelmed by the response from the audience.
mm,
So it was really the audience that brought me back. Just by their sheer, the sheer reaction that we
mm.
got, which I was not expecting.
Yeah,
I just had two children.
yeah,
I didn't look like the Kim Wilde from 1981. I was considerably older. So I really wasn't expecting anyone to be wanting to see that the latest updated
yes.
version of Kim Wilde. But they all loved it. So here I am.
But you did reinvent yourself. You won an award at the Chelsea Flower Show for horticulture.
Well, yes, I did. I mean, that wasn't a goal I'd set myself. I,
Yeah.
I literally fell into that medal just by sheer enthusiasm and love of the subject. You
Yes.
know, um, when I retired, I enrolled at a horticultural college and started learning about plants and planting design. And just by one accident after the other, I find myself doing gardening TV shows and wanting to learn more about the subject. And then I got given an opportunity to make a garden in one situation up in a up. Anyway, it was a very sweet, slow road that got me to Chelsea
Yeah.
Flower Show,
Yeah.
and the journey was far more enjoyable than the gold medal itself. The
Yes.
journey to get there was astonishing.
I find that there's a lot of artists that they get to a point where they've done all of their music work, and when they're at that point of, okay, I need to do something else now. A lot of artists will paint. A lot of artists will write poetry. Is it just another creative outlet to you? To
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've got a polytunnel full of seeds all growing now.
Yes.
That excites me every
Wow.
day. I go down, see what they're all doing, have a chat with them, water them, prop them up, propagate them, pinch them out, just love them. Um, I also do painting as well, so
Yes.
I love making paintings and pictures. I do that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still writing a lot of songs, so that's sort of poetry, I guess. Songwriting is
Yes.
as a way of, yeah, it's poetry. So yeah, something creative always.
So obviously you've got the new album that's coming out. You've been writing and putting it together. When you come back to recording and also performing now, what do you think has changed most in you? Is there been a very obvious transition?
Yeah, definitely. I'm using my voice all the time.
Mm.
So I have a much stronger voice now at 65 than I even did when I was 25 or 35.
Yeah.
And also in here, I've getting older. It might not be great for physically, but it's mentally. You don't have to be worried about getting old because what it can do to your mind is quite amazing.
Yes.
So you even if I am 65, when I'm on stage, I feel like I'm 25.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
amazing what the brain can do.
So, what can Australian fans expect from your upcoming tour? Bit of nostalgia, maybe. Where the hell is my husband?
Yeah, just a real connection to me, actually. I
Yeah.
mean, it won't be utterly bombastic. There will be bombastic moments because we're going to be doing a big dollop of KW hits.
Yes.
So there's certainly that element of it. But there are lots of intimate moments as well,
Yeah.
very intimate moments, and some storytelling that hit very sensitive subjects. I've had a very rich life. I've been married and now I'm not, and I've
Yeah.
had a family, and the things have changed, and there's all of that life experience
Yes.
comes out through the songs that I'm singing. I
Yeah.
think people will will resonate with that.
Yeah. Yeah. When you step on stage now and sing, Kids in America, what song does that? What does that mean to you now, as opposed to back in 1981?
I'm enjoying singing Kids in America more now, I think, than I've
Mm.
ever done.
Mm.
When you see the joy on people's faces when that pulse starts up at the beginning of the song, and it's like a sort of tsunami of energy that sort of you can feel it building up around the edges of the where all you can see the crowd and you can't see their faces out in the darkness, and then all of a sudden they're sort of like you can almost see all their faces
Yeah.
because they're so shiny and bright and everyone's so excited, and all of a sudden the whole audience comes alive, and it's an incredible song. It's just a
Yes.
piece of absolute magic, and it was gifted to me by my very own dad and my very own
Yeah.
brother. So I will be forever grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I know you've got to go. We're probably getting to the end of it. So I've got fast five. This is my quick fire questions. Okay. So
Yeah.
and no sort of overthinking this. First thing that comes to mind. One song of yours you never get sick of playing live.
Never Trust a Stranger. Bloody love that song.
Oh, okay. Nice little deep cut there. The most 80s thing about the 80s?
Probably Phil Oakey.
Artists that you would love to collaborate with, past or present?
I really love Ray and all the new work that she's doing.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of also Lily Allen.
Oh, who isn't, right? She's incredible.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
song that you wish you'd written?
Oh, well, I really wish I'd written the Click Clack Symphony, but just incredible. Ray's Click Clack Symphony is just with Hans Zimmer. It's just astonishing.
Okay, check that one out, everyone. And finally, Australia, pub, beach, or stage? What do you prefer?
Oh, it's a toss up between the beach and the stage. So, I will definitely be doing both at
Yeah.
every opportunity. But touring Australia is just such a thrill for me. I love the way the audiences love what I'm doing, especially in the last 10 years when I've been visiting.
Yeah.
There's definitely things have shifted. You know, I've got a long history with Australia. We've grown up together, and the love and affection I feel from audiences these days is really overwhelming. I can't wait to get back and have a little taste of that again.
Well, we can't wait to have you back here. And we're looking forward to the new album as well. When is that going to be released? Any dates?
Well, well, the new album will be next year, but the
Yeah.
album that we'll be singing songs from will is the one that got released
Yes.
last year. It's an album called Closer.
Yeah.
But the new album we're still writing, and that will come out next year.
Yeah, fantastic. Now you're heading here in November. I'm going to put all the dates up on the podcast so you can see them on the description, and also the link where you can buy tickets from as well. So, look, Kim, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've grown up loving your music. I still love
Thank you.
listening to it, and it's so good that you're still out there touring. Incredible.
Yeah, I love it more now than I've ever done, and that's really honest. And
Yeah.
got an amazing band, and we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, fantastic. Kim Wilde, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, real pleasure, Shane. See you there.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Long Way to the Top. Hit plus or follow to subscribe to the podcast, and head over to Facebook at the Long Way to the Top podcast and give us a like. Keep on rocking, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Long Way to the Top.